Hi there, got a bumper edition today. Later, is it the end for Germany's oldest queer nightclub? First though, Budapest mayor's been questioned by police after humiliating Hungary's far-right prime minister by ignoring an attempt to ban Pride. Gergely Karason found a way around Viktor Orban's attempts to stop June's event, which drew a record 300,000 people, it's believed. The mayor's been accused of organising a prohibited event. He spoke to supporters outside the National Bureau of Investigation.
Budapest Pride has been primarily about ensuring that our fellow citizens who belong to sexual minorities can live as freely and happily in this city as everyone else. But this year's Pride was about much more than that. Viktor Orban thought he had power over us. He doesn't.
Orban passed an anti-LGBTQ+ law earlier this year he thought would stop Pride events. Wrong, Vicky. He's worried his failing government will lose next year's election, so he's targeting queer people as a diversion. An appeal's begun today over a transgender woman's discrimination case victory against a female-only social media app. Roxanne Tickle from New South Wales in Australia was blocked from using Giggle for Girls for not looking sufficiently female and was awarded $10,000 last year. There's a 4-day federal court hearing for the app's appeal. It's being supported by the anti-trans lesbian action group. A trans professional pool player's lost her discrimination case after a UK court ruled men have a natural advantage. Harriet Haynes from Kent's been fighting a ban by the English Black Ball Pool Federation on competitors who aren't biologically female from taking part in women's tournaments. But a judge who's clearly an expert in pool, as they mostly are, reckons biological men have an advantage when it comes to the break-off shot. The oldest LGBTQ+ nightclub in Germany has gone bankrupt. Berlin's Schwarz has been around since 1977, but rising rents and inflation mean the venues had to file for insolvency. A recovery plan's being developed in the hope of keeping the club open. And a newly restored 4K version of the 1980s gay cult classic Taxi zum Klo, or Taxi to the Toilets, has been showing at a cinema in New York. The film explores life in Berlin again, through the experiences of schoolteacher Frank, who leads a double life looking for sex with other men. Was an underground hit in the former West Germany when it first came out, with its, no pun intended, frank depiction of cruising culture and gay life. No time to tell you that America's long-running Family Feud game shows had an all-transgender team for the first time, led by actress Laverne Cox. And ahead of the Priscilla Queen of the Desert sequel, Guy Pearce reckons he might not look as good in a frock as he did back in 1993. Nonsense. Hi there. Later, don't mess with trans TikTok star Tiara Sky. First though, an LGBTQ+ activist who helped organise the UK's first Pride March in 1972 has been awarded an honorary doctorate. Ted Brown's been recognised by the University of Brighton for more than half a century of activism and social justice campaigns. As a member of the Gay Liberation Front, he was behind a mass kissing at London's Hyde Park in 1971.
People think we were being flippant, but actually the sentence for that kind of behaviour could have been between 5 and 7 years in prison. But we decided to challenge the police on the grounds that doing so would show the public the kind of hostility and homophobia that we were facing.
Thanks to Attitude, the 75-year-old also co-founded Black Lesbians and Gays Against Media Homophobia in 1990, and he successfully campaigned against a song by reggae artist Buju Banton, which called for the murder and torture of gay men. A queer-inclusive church in Texas in America has been vandalised. Pride was the first sin has been spray-painted over the front of Life in the City United Methodist Church, and its Progress Pride flag was ripped down. Local people have turned out to undo the damage though, because not everyone's a boneheaded bigot. And more than half the people in China say they support LGBTQ+ rights. The University of California has surveyed thousands of Chinese citizens, finding 53% say queer people should be accepted in society. China doesn't yet have certain LGBTQ+ legal protections with no same-sex marriage, but almost half those questioned would attend a gay wedding. No time to tell you that transgender TikTok star Tiara Skies effortlessly dealt with some transphobia while filming one of her videos in London.
I will never be a woman like you because you're not the woman I'm trying to be.
And Nico Young's become the first out gay man to win a US national athletics competition. Hi there. Later, calls to take the gay out of an Indian airport. First though, a gay politician's used his first speech in Parliament in Australia to give some hope to queer young people. Josh Doleja is Tasmania's first out senator. The Labour lawmaker revealed he experienced violence and hate in his younger years because of his sexuality, but
if you're going through a tough time, if you're wondering if someone will love you, if you're wondering if things will get better, I want you to know that yes, you can find love, and that you are loved, and that things will be okay. Find your safety net and latch on to what makes you happy.
Tasmania was the last Australian state to decriminalise homosexuality in 1997. It's since become the first to officially recognise people identifying as asexual, aromantic or agender. Italy's planning to tighten the rules on gender-affirming care for young people. A draft law approved by the government wants to restrict access to puberty blockers and hormones for under 18s with gender dysphoria. An ethics panel will be set up to approve treatment. Far-right Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni calls herself an enemy of gender ideology. And calls to change the three-letter code for an airport in India because that code is literally gay are rightly being ignored. An MP is unhappy about the abbreviation for Gaia, spelled G-A-Y-A, as it's socially and culturally offensive. These codes take the first three letters of the airport's location, so G-A-Y. The government says it won't be altered. In other words, pipe down, homophobe. No time to tell you that America's first homeless shelter for trans and gender non-conforming people has opened in New York. And Shamrock Shioga, Ireland's first queer basketball club, have won silver at the inclusive Eurogames tournament in France. Their Flinter team doing the honours. That's female, lesbian, intersex, non-binary, trans and agender. Hi there. Later, queer traffic lights. First though, a drag queen starting legal proceedings over abuse and false accusations after reading to children in a library. Lady Portia de Monte took part in a yearly storytelling event in Belfast, Northern Ireland last week, which was targeted by protesters. Police escorted her and another drag queen out of the building to keep the peace. Bigots making the usual claims about grooming and paedophilia.
Absolute disgrace. Shame on the both of you. Let boys be boys, let girls be girls.
You do your thing. You do your thing, but you leave our kids alone.
Alexa, play Holier Than Thou. Lady Portia's solicitor says online groups and individuals have made highly serious and defamatory claims. Right-wing politicians also jumping on the culture war bandwagon, saying the event shouldn't have happened, even though it's an annual thing that gets positive feedback. A non-binary person's fight for legal recognition of their gender identity in the UK is heading for the European Court of Human Rights. Now, it is formally acknowledged by America, where Ryan Castellucci's from originally, but since moving to London, they've been knocked back. This is because the UK's gender recognition certificates don't have a non-binary option. Previous court challenges have been unsuccessful, so their legal team's trying the ECHR. And a push for traffic lights featuring gay and lesbian couples to big up queer visibility in Germany. The Green Party in Bremen responding to homophobic crime in the city by starting a petition. If it succeeds, the lights and a rainbow crossing will be installed by the end of the year. Hi there. Later, 20 years of UK Black Pride. First though, the anti-queer, Bible-bashing alternatives to the Scouts indoctrinating children across America. Trail Life USA and American Heritage Girls teach kids to believe all things LGBTQ+ are sinful and immoral. These groups are a response to increasing inclusivity in the country's main scouting organisations, which saw a long-standing ban on gay and bisexual members removed. John Stemberger helped set up Trail Life 12 years ago.
When the Boy Scouts of America were making their changes to allow openly gay boys to express themselves and be with other boys, hundreds of us around the country were trying to get the Boy Scouts to not make the change, but unfortunately they passed it. So as a result of that, we founded Trail Life USA. It's a Christian scouting movement based out of evangelical churches and Catholic churches.
The groups have links to LGBTQ+ hate organisations, one of which promotes conversion therapy. Transgender service members in the US Air Force are having their early retirement benefits withdrawn. A ban on trans people in America's military means they're all being forced out. Benefits for those who've served between 15 and 18 years had been approved. Now they'll get nothing. And it's the 20th anniversary of UK Black Pride on Sunday in London. The event's been celebrating queer people of African, Asian, Caribbean, Latin American and Middle Eastern descent since 2005, back when I had a real age, not a showbiz age. Crowds of more than 25,000 have turned out for the last few events. The theme this year is Becoming. Also got NYC Black Pride kicking off on Wednesday, by the way. No time to tell you that. What's being called the world's first Pride Parade on a train is taking place in Derby in the UK. Get in touch on our socials. We're at Pride Daily Pod. I'm Kev McGrath. See you next week.